third community consultation is on the way for a piece of legislation that will probably be the cornerstone to Kahnawà's justice system for years to come. Joining us on the program is the Director of Justice Services in Kahnawà, Ron Skye. Ron, good to have you with us.
Hi, Joe. Glad to be here.
You've been a busy man over the past, well, you've been a busy man all along, but especially the past couple of weeks, there were a pair of hearings, community consultations. Now that the first draft of the proposed Kahnawà Justice Act has been created, now it goes back to the community. We've had a couple of meetings so far. Let's talk about that. First of all, congratulations on the draft. I don't think we've actually spoken on the air since that time. We get rolling, and as we've seen before, we invite the community, and we're not overwhelmed by community members. Is this a concern?
Well, obviously, we're trying to get as much participation as possible. The information has been out there for some time. The draft has been out there for a 60-day period. And there's two ways to look at it. One is that people agree, they say, fine, it's okay. Or there's a little bit of apathy. And, how do you judge that? In the initial stages, some 2 years ago when we started a consultation, we had a lot of participation. We targeted some 800 members of the community, which would give us a fairly good representation, of the direction that they wanted to go in. And the consultation that was done over a 16-month period resulted in the first draft. So maybe to a certain extent, community is tired. That's a possibility also. But we still like to see them come out. I mean, it's going to be there for them. That's what the draft is about.
And we don't want to be ever accused of spinning anything. The facts are there, but as someone whose job is to do some analysis, over the years it has been, I guess it's pretty certain you can say things like, when people aren't happy, they make a point to be there.
Oh, definitely.
So
definitely.
There might be, like you say, a little bit of both. Content-wise, the draft is out. I know the first couple of meetings were to talk about the first section of the draft. You reached agreement on that part, so now there's more to go. How much, in percentage-wise, has been done, do you think, and how long is this going to take?
Well, we've gotten through the first section, okay, and we haven't done the redraft on it yet to present back to the groups that participated. As far as timeline, I mean, it can only go as fast as the community participants want to go, and we have to respect that. We initially had asked, because of the way the draft was done, we had taken the comments and the concerns and the input from the community when we did the consultation to put it into the draft and the content. And we didn't really want to get into wordsmithing. But what usually happens, people ask, what does this word mean? What context is it in? So it probably will take longer. If we're looking at content, what we really wanted to do, did we hit the mark in relation to the consultation that we did with the community? We asked 4 questions, and we think that we answered the 4 questions or put into context the 4 questions that the community had given us direction on. And now it's getting that return feedback, if you would, did we hit the mark? Again, as far as the timeline, we can only go as fast as the community wants.
And it was said by one of the community members who was on the drafting team that in a question we asked on KTV a while back, how quickly will this move? He says, there's no rush. It's going to take as long as it's going to take. And in effect, that happens. That frustrates some people, though.
It does. I mean, a lot of the, if you want, parking lot comments that we get is that the process is very cumbersome. And to a certain degree, people agree and disagree, also saying, this is, how we would better come to a consensus for everyone to have their input. So that's how the process is developed at this point. And again, it's an evolving process. I mean, just because we started with this type of consensus, with the community, it may change, and we will try and get input back from the community from the KLCC perspective, not just within the Justice Act itself. And it'll evolve. It'll evolve.
For those who haven't been, I guess, involved or paying attention for the last little while, the Justice Act has been created for several reasons, and it's good to touch on them. One is that no longer are we able to, Canada can no longer appoint justices of the peace, and we only have 2 active ones now. And when they retire, and neither of them is just fresh out of law school or anything like that, so it's a concern. Mm-hmm. And when they decide they've had enough, what does that mean for the Court of Kahnawà if it is exactly as we are now? Mm-hmm.
Well, we know that the Justices of the Peace are appointed under Section 107 of the Indian Act. There was a moratorium put on by the federal government in 2005 that they wouldn't appoint any more Justices of the Peace under 107. And if any municipalities or First Nations communities wanted to have a Justice of the Peace, they would have to go to provincial route. That it wasn't acceptable to the MCK at the time. So knowing that, we had to move forward with some type of justice system that would reflect the demands of the communities, concerns and input going back to 1997 into wanting to have any type of file or processes heard here in the community. Now, to achieve that, we need to empower our own justice system. And if our justices of the peace are going to be retiring, or whatever the case may be, in the next, they can't live forever, that was the impetus for us to start our own justice system, or start looking at it. So we are on a kind of a time frame, if you would. We don't know when the Justice of the Peace may retire. We have the last 2 remaining in Canada. And if we're going to be looking at jurisdiction and sovereignty and doing things the way Kahnawà wants, then we need to move forward with this Justice Act.
So there you go. If you want to be a part of it, please be there. The dates are always announced, and we have actually one cancellation. We had one scheduled for Saturday the 13th, I believe it was. Yes. And that's been postponed because of the difficulties on Saturday. So we'll announce a bunch of new dates, and there will be one coming up this coming Tuesday, if you're watching this program on its first airing, this coming Tuesday at 6 o'clock. Please be there a few minutes early, just so we can get started at 6, get rolling, and get the work done. All right, thank you very much, Ron.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
All right, Ron Skye is the Director of Justice here in Kahnawà.